Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Just wanted to provide you with some insight into our work from last week and then talk briefly about this week. Just a reminder this week, week 8 in the class is very short. It ends on what is the 20th? For on the 23rd, I guess, on Friday, whatever date that is. It ends on Friday, so all of your work needs to be submitted by Friday, 11:59. And if you're continuing on to another class, that's an 8-week class for the second 8 weeks. If you are taking an online class, that will start on Saturday. So make sure that you hop into your new classes on Saturday. If you're taking an on-ground class next 8 weeks, those will start on whichever day it is that you meet next week. But just remember that week 8 in the classroom is short because we extend week 1 a couple days. So just so that we can run on that Monday to Sunday time frame throughout the weeks. So last week, week 7, we talked a bit about financial management, looked at reimbursement, health insurance, and really financial management is what keeps the doors open. So it's certainly it's the area that I've worked in a good amount of my career. So I don't have an aversion to it, but I know that some people see finance, they think math, they think it's negative, they don't want to be involved in it. But it's really the financial management piece in the healthcare setting is what is honestly what keeps the door open. If we can't bill effectively and efficiently and get revenue coming in the door from our insurers and our patients, we don't have the money to stay in business. So it's really a very important part of the industry. And I'd encourage you, even if you don't, I myself am not a big fan of having to do math problems and those types of things, but finance is so much more than that. There is accounting and those types of things. And I'm certainly not an accountant yet. I have worked in finance throughout a bunch of my career. A lot of compliance is finance. So just be aware of that difference there and understand how important the finance piece of our work is. So we looked at that, and we had our case study assignment last week, our discussion, and then our quiz, which I'll talk about here in a moment. So in week 8, this is literally a whirlwind look at medical terminology. So I really would encourage you, especially if you're not in a clinical. I know a lot of you are nursing students that are taking this as a minor, but if you're not in, so you'll get additional medical terminology. But if you're an HSA major or even a minor from another area where you're not going to get much medical terminology activity, I would really encourage you to continue your education in medical terminology. I would love to see us have a whole class in it for you. We used to have half of a class. We had 4 weeks, and we did cut that back. But being able to speak the language of the clinicians as an administrator is really crucial. Being able to speak to them, about conditions and about situations in the terminology that they use really puts you, on a similar plane. I think that clinicians generally have a great deal of respect for those non-clinicians that are well versed in the clinical world. I myself have never been a clinician. I was an EMT when I was a kid, but outside of that, I'm not a clinical person. But I can certainly talk medical records and the content within with any physician and stay right on the same page as they are. So, and in some cases, I find that my knowledge of the terminology used in the medical record tends to be better than some providers. And that's why in compliance, it's really important because we need to provide providers with insight as to how to improve their documentation. So really important. Medical terminology is really important to many aspects of healthcare administration, not just compliance, but like I said, just being able to speak the language of the clinician is crucial. So we do have a discussion board this week, not related to medical terminology, but you have an assignment that's due this week. Again, due on Friday. I'm just going to click into it quickly. So you'll just complete this assignment. Obviously, each one of these groups here, and I just had a question on it, so I'll clarify it for others that might not understand what's going on with this particular assignment. So over here you have a definition. Over here you have possible answers, and then what you'll do is take your answer from here and place it here. So you can, this is a PDF file, so you can certainly turn it into a Word document file or turn it into a form that you would fill out and type them in. You can print this out and handwrite them in and scan it or take a photo and upload it to the classroom, however you would like to do that. But it's kind of a matching type exercise. So these are the 5 definitions. These are the 5 answers that match these definitions. You've just got to match them up properly. So that's the first section here. There's 4 of them. So each group of answers goes with each group of definitions. Then down here, you're just going to list the body part that they are pertaining to, that this region is pertaining to. And then we have a little crossword puzzle. The crossword puzzle sometimes, I apologize, it's not week 7 anymore, but I haven't gone, we used to do this in week 7, now we do it in week 8. But so the crossword puzzle is what baffles some folks because they don't know how to do it. Like they want to do it, they want to type into it. And I don't think that Adobe Acrobat is really keen on that. So I would encourage you to either print it out and hand fill it in, or what some people do is just list the answers, like 1 across, 5 across, and then kind of on a separate Word document. You're certainly welcome to do that. That seems like a lot of work. It seems like it would be easier to just print it out and fill it in. But however it is that you want to do it is up to you. But so you'll complete those, and then you'll upload to the classroom here at this link. And if you end up with multiple files, just when you go into, kind of a tip for the future, I guess, but also here, you can attach multiple files, but you can only attach them one at a time. So if you click Browse My Computer, you add one, and then go back again here and click Browse My Computer and add until you've added as many files as you need, and then hit Submit. Once you hit Submit, you can't add any more files. But add as many files as you need, and then hit Submit, and then it will go into to the gradebook. So let's talk quiz for a minute here. So our quiz from last week, first question. Efforts to control the costs of Medicare have been undertaken via legislation mandated to create prospective payment systems for. So there's 2 pieces to this question. Number 1 is understanding what areas prospective payment systems have been developed for. And then number 2, understanding what prospective payment systems match with what types of facilities. So prospective payment systems have been developed for all 4 of these areas, for hospital outpatient, for SNFs, for hospitals, and for physicians. What is wrong in these answers is that hospital outpatient departments don't use HHRGs, they use OPPS or APCs is the actual system. So if you saw OPPS or APC there, that would be correct. Skilled nursing facilities don't use DRGs, they use RUGs. So this should be RUGs here. Hospitals don't use RUGs, they use DRGs. So here would be DRGs. That's what would make these correct, but because they don't have a match, facility to type of payment system, those 3 are all incorrect. However, physicians using RBRVS is correct. The RBRVS system is a system of what they call relative value units. Each type of service that can be billed from a physician office is assigned a certain number of units, which are then based on your geography. So, doctors in New York City get paid more than doctors in Pittsburgh, but doctors in Pittsburgh get paid more than doctors probably like in Youngstown, Ohio. So, there's a difference geographically, but those relative value units stay the same. The dollar amounts differ based on where you are in your geography. So it's a fee schedule. The RBRVS system creates a fee schedule for physician services. It's a prospective payment system in the sense that prospectively, if a patient walks in the door and you're doing something for them and you know the code, which you should when a patient's coming in, you would be able to prospectively figure out how much you're going to get paid from the Medicare program. It's not as extreme as some other types of prospective payment systems like capitation, those types of systems that we talked about, but it is still considered prospective payment, and hence the reason that that's our correct answer. Next one. Which type of HMO offers the most flexibility for participating physicians? So, an independent practice association is the most flexible. It is literally an association of independent physician practices that come together to take part in an HMO. Things like closed and open panel HMOs are oftentimes very restrictive. Both for the participating physician and for the patient. So, open panels are a little less restrictive than a closed panel, but they're still quite restrictive. Whereas in an independent practice association, it's pretty broad. Many physicians involved. Definitely very flexible for the participating physician and more flexible for the patient as well. So that is our correct answer there. Next one. The difference between a hospital's charges for an inpatient stay in the facility and the amount the hospital has agreed to accept from insurance is called. So that amount that is the difference. So let's say the charges are $5,000 and the amount that the hospital will accept, so maybe like the DRG amount or whatever it happens to be, might be $1,000. So we've got a $4,000 difference there. That $4,000 difference is called a contractual allowance. Sometimes we'll see it called a contractual write-off, but that's not one of our answers here, so that isn't it. But a contractual allowance is probably the more formal term for that amount, the difference between what the hospital would charge and what the hospital is going to get paid by the insurance carrier. So that difference there, and sometimes there'll be another piece to that that's maybe a patient deductible or a patient coinsurance that does not get written off. That gets billed directly to the patient. So let's say the $5,000 in charges, maybe the patient has a $500 inpatient deductible. So $5,000 in charges, hospital is going to get paid $1,000 from the insurance company. They're going to charge $500 to the patient for their deductible. So then the rest of that would be written off. So in that case, it would be $3,500 instead of $4,000. That $3,500 is that contractual allowance. And that's it. So let's go back to the classroom. So just a reminder, stuff is due. Your final exam, obviously this ed puzzle, your discussions, and the medical terminology assignment by Friday evening or Friday night, 11:59. The second discussion is optional. There's no points associated. You don't have to provide anything in there. It's really we really do use these, so I do appreciate it when folks do it. But it's really about providing us feedback. Obviously, you will get, or you probably have already gotten a survey, which we appreciate if you fill that out as well. But number one, we don't get those back for months, and number two, they're not all that detailed. The scores are helpful, and obviously the scores that go into those surveys are what drive our continued employment at RMU. There's a requirement that we hit a minimum score, etc. But this section, this optional section, can really give us some ideas. What did you like? What didn't you like? How do you think we could improve? Were there pieces that you wish you had learned more about in this class? Are there topics that we didn't cover that you would like to see? So this is a helpful discussion for us to provide insight. If you'd rather not post it in the discussion board and you want to just send me an email, that's fine as well. I'm happy to gather information in that way also. But always really helpful when folks can tell us. When I go to set up this class next time I teach it, the first thing I will do is come and look back at your comments in that section to see where I can improve things and whatnot. And then your final exam, you have 2 hours to complete it. I think that there's 50 questions maybe, all very similar to the types of questions you've seen on the quizzes. So nothing will be a surprise to you in there. And then obviously our medical terminology assignment. So that's all I've got. It's been a pleasure working with everyone. I appreciate your patience with me. I promise that things will be up to date and ready to go as of the end of the term. I do have to have grades in, I believe, on Monday. So, I'll be working diligently this week to finish up our I think you still have maybe a week 6 assignment outstanding plus your week 7 assignments, so that I'm ready to grade the week 8 stuff this weekend. And But I do appreciate your patience. It's been a difficult term. The last two terms, unfortunately, have been difficult for a variety of reasons. But here's to our next term looking up for everybody. Hopefully, we're starting to improve in the COVID situation. Although there are some statistics showing opposite. But let's keep our fingers crossed that come spring semester we'll start to be back to whatever our new normal is going to be. And hopefully, for those of you that are taking classes online but would rather be on campus, hopefully we can get you back to campus and get to see y'all in person. So, any questions that you have on any of the assignments, please feel free to reach out. But otherwise, it's been a pleasure working with everyone, and I look forward to seeing you again in another HSA class. Thanks so much.